What if the partner who keeps breaking your heart is not a stranger at all, but a face you have been wearing your whole life? What if every person you have chosen, lost and sworn you would never choose again was not a mistake, but a messenger sent by a part of you that you have refused to meet? Jung asked a version of this question to a woman in 1925. A woman who had buried 3 marriages and could not understand why the 4th man already looked, in the dark, exactly like the first. The answer he gave her was so disturbing that she did not speak for almost a full minute. Tonight I will tell you what he said. And I will warn you now, once you understand it, you will never again be able to fall blindly and call it fate. Before this descent ends, I will give you the single question Jung used to expose the hidden architect of your love life, the one that decides, long before your conscious mind ever does, exactly who you will reach for in a crowded room. But to understand why that one question has the power to free you, we must first walk down into a place you have spent your entire life passing by, every single day, without ever once opening the door. So begin here, with something simple. Think of the people you have loved most painfully. Not the gentle ones, the ones who undid you. Lay them side by side in your mind, the way an old physician lays photographs across a desk under a single lamp. And then ask yourself, with as much honesty as you can bear, how different are they, really? Different faces, different names, different cities. Yes, but underneath the surface, the same withdrawal at the same moment, the same coldness that arrived the instant you opened, the same dazzling promise that dissolved the very second you let yourself believe it. You did not choose 4 people. You chose one pattern, 4 times, and the pattern did not come from them. It came from you. This is the first thing almost everyone refuses to hear, and it is the beginning of everything that follows. We prefer to believe that love is an accident of fate, that we simply met the wrong person at the wrong time again and again by sheer misfortune. It is a comforting story because it asks nothing of us, but the unconscious does not deal in accidents. Jung observed something in his patients that unsettled him for decades. The psyche repeats what it has not yet made conscious. Whatever you have not understood within yourself, you are condemned to encounter outside yourself, in a circumstance, in a stroke of fate, or in a lover. The wrong partner is not bad luck. The wrong partner is an unread letter, returning to your door over and over again, precisely because you keep refusing to open it. To understand who is really writing that letter, we have to speak of something Jung called the complex. Picture it as a kind of magnetic field, buried deep in the mind, formed in your earliest years, charged with raw emotion, and quietly, almost frighteningly alive. The first and most powerful of these forms around your very earliest experience of love. The mother, the father, the ones who first taught you what love feels like, whether they ever meant to or not. If love arrived as something warm but conditional, you learned, before you could speak, that love must be earned. If it arrived and then vanished, you learned that love is something you must chase or you will lose it. If it came wrapped in fear or unpredictability, you learned that intensity and danger are simply what love is supposed to feel like. These lessons did not stay behind in childhood. They hardened into the very lens through which you now read every face that approaches you in the dark. And here is where Jung's discovery becomes truly disturbing. You do not at first fall in love with a person. You fall in love with an image you have carried inside you all along, an inner figure he named the anima, in a man, the animus in a woman. It is the unconscious blueprint of the beloved, woven from the deepest layers of the psyche and stained by every early wound. When you meet someone in the world who fits even a fragment of that blueprint, the inner image leaps onto them like a film projected onto a blank screen. You see them, and yet you are not seeing them at all. You are seeing your own soul's hidden contents, dressed in their skin, moving in their gestures, speaking in their voice. This is projection. And it explains the most haunting feature of the wrong partner, that overwhelming, electric sense of recognition. That trembling certainty of I have known you forever, because you have, but not them. You have known the image. They were simply the screen it happened to land on. Stay with me here, because the next part will change how you understand every powerful attraction you have ever felt. The strength of a falling in love is not a measure of how right someone is for you. It is a measure of how much unconscious material you are pouring onto them. The more violently you fall, the less you are actually seeing. The thunderbolt that feels like destiny is very often only the sound of your own unlived life crashing into a stranger. This is why the partners who feel the most fated so often become the ones who wound us most precisely. They were never strangers at all. They were carrying our shadow, and they fitted so perfectly that we mistook the fit for love. Let me ask you something, and let the question sit in your chest before your mind rushes to push it away. The qualities that most infuriate you in the people you keep choosing, the unavailability, the chaos, the coldness, the bottomless need to be saved, are you absolutely certain those qualities live only in them? Or is it possible they carry, in exaggerated and outer form, something you have long refused to live in yourself? The shadow is everything you disowned in order to become acceptable. Your hunger, your rage, your selfishness, your raw power, your unmet need. And the psyche has a strange and relentless honesty about it. What you will not face inside yourself, it will faithfully draw toward you in another, again and again, until you finally stop and turn and look. The wrong partner is your own shadow, standing at the door, knocking. The ancients understood all of this, long before psychology gave it names. Listen to the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. He loved her so completely that when she died, he descended into the underworld itself, charming death with his song, to bring her back into the light. The gods granted his wish on one single condition, that he walk ahead of her and not look back until both of them had reached the surface. And at the very threshold, with freedom only inches away, he could not bear it. He turned, he had to see her, and in the turning, he lost her forever, watching her dissolve back into the dark. For 3,000 years we have told this as a simple tragedy of love, but it is something far stranger and closer to home. Orpheus could not trust what he could not see. He had to grasp the image, to confirm it with his own eyes, and in grasping, he destroyed the very thing he loved. How many times have you done exactly this? Loved an image so desperately that you turned and grasped and crushed the living, breathing person who could never quite match it? Or consider Eros and Psyche. Psyche is forbidden ever to look at her divine lover. He comes to her only in the dark. Consumed at last by doubt, she lights a lamp while he sleeps, and the moment she truly sees him, he wakes, he flees, and her long suffering begins. The myth is whispering something the unconscious has always known. Love that depends on never truly seeing the other is love built entirely on projection, and the day the lamp is lit, the projection shatters. Every relationship you have ever lost to disillusionment was in truth a lamp being lit. The person you fell out of love with did not change at all. The light simply reached them at last, and you finally saw an ordinary, flawed human being where you had been quietly worshipping a god of your own making. Then there is Tristan and Isolde, who drink a love potion by accident, and are bound to a passion that can never be lived in the world, a love that thrives only on obstacle, on distance, on the impossibility of ever truly arriving. The medieval poets adore this story, and Jung saw exactly why it grips us still. We are a culture, half in love with the love potion. We mistake the longing for the having. We are most enraptured by the lover we cannot reach, and we lose interest the moment the obstacle dissolves, and the real available human being stands before us, asking to be known. If you have ever burned with desire for someone unattainable and felt the fire die, the instant they finally turn toward you, you have drunk from Isolde's cup. The longing was never about them. It was about the safety of never having to truly arrive. The alchemists, those strange old dreamers Jung loved so deeply, called the true union of two souls the conjunction, the sacred marriage, the mystical wedding of opposites. But they understood that it could never happen in the bright, easy light of day between two polished masks. It had to begin in the nigredo, the blackening, the dark night where everything false is dissolved and burned away in the vessel. To them, real union was not the meeting of two flawless images. It was the meeting of two people who had each descended into their own darkness, faced their own shadow, suffered their own dissolution, and returned two whole beings, not two desperate halves clutching at each other to feel briefly complete. And this is the secret the wrong partner has been trying all along to teach you. You cannot find wholeness by adding another person to your emptiness. The arithmetic of the soul does not work that way. You can only truly meet another in fullness once you have done the slow, unglamorous work of becoming full yourself. Everything I have told you so far is the deep machinery beneath the surface. Now let us bring it into the harsh, unforgiving light of the world you actually live in, because the modern age has done something the ancients could never have dreamed. It has industrialized projection, opened the apps, 1,000 faces swiped past in a single evening, each one a fresh blank screen onto which your inner image can leap and play. You are not browsing people, you are hunting, without ever admitting it, for the face that fits the blueprint. And the blueprint, remember, was carved by your oldest and deepest wounds. So of course you keep choosing the same wrong partner. The algorithm did not break your pattern. It poured fuel on it. It handed your complex an endless, glittering, infinite supply of screens. And here begins the darkest game of love in our time. We have built an entire culture that mistakes intensity for intimacy. We call the unavailable one exciting. We call the one who triggers our deepest abandonment wound a twin flame. And we dress our oldest pain in the costume of destiny. We take the compulsion to repeat and we baptize it in the language of fate and soulmates. And then we lie awake wondering why the soulmate keeps turning back into the same heartbreak we swore we had escaped. The situationship, the slow ghosting, the lover who flickers in and out like a faulty signal in the night. These are not modern inventions. They are ancient patterns wearing modern clothes. The mother who was warm and then suddenly gone. The father who was physically there but forever unreachable. You did not escape the original story by being born into a new century. You simply found someone willing to perform it with you. One more time. Pause for a moment. Genuinely pause and let the room go quiet around you. Bring into your mind the last person who broke your heart. And then slowly beneath them, the very first person who ever taught you what love costs. Hold both images in the same gaze at once. And notice the resemblance you have spent years, perhaps your whole life, refusing to see. That flicker of recognition you are feeling right now. That quiet, cold horror in the chest, that is the unconscious becoming conscious. That is not a wound reopening. That is the beginning of the only freedom there has ever been. Because here is the turn, the precise place where this stops being a diagnosis and becomes a door. Jung did not believe you are doomed to repeat forever. He believed the repetition itself was the psyche's desperate, almost tender attempt to heal you. The pattern returns not to punish you, but to give you one more chance to finally see it, to drag into the light what has been ruling you from the dark. This is the very heart of what he called individuation, the slow, lifelong, often painful work of becoming whole by gathering back the parts of yourself you have exiled. And the astonishing thing he discovered is that intimate relationship is one of the most powerful arenas in which this sacred work can happen. The right person does not complete you. That is the great romantic lie. The right person reflects you so clearly, so unbearably, that you are finally forced to become yourself. So the real work is not to find a better screen. The work is to withdraw the projection altogether. It begins the very moment you feel that thunderbolt of certainty about a stranger and you find the courage to stop and ask, what part of myself am I seeing in them right now? It begins when you stop asking, why do I keep meeting these people? And dare instead to ask, what in me keeps recognizing them, choosing them, staying long after the warning bells have rung? It begins when you take the very qualities you most despise in your partners and search with terrible and patient honesty for the hidden roots inside your own soul. Understand me, this is not self-blame. It is the precise opposite. It is the reclaiming of your own buried power. As long as the entire cause of your pain lives in other people, you are helpless. All you can do is wait again and again for a kinder stranger to wander in. But the moment you find your own part in the pattern stops being a fate that happens to you and becomes at last something you can change. And now we arrive at the deepest paradox of all, the one the old alchemists hid inside their symbols and the myths buried inside their beautiful tragedies. The wrong partner, the one you most regret, the one who cost you the most, the one whose name you can still barely speak, was very likely your greatest teacher. Not because the suffering was somehow good. Suffering is not noble, and I will never tell you that it is. But because that particular person, by fitting your wound so exactly, dragged into the daylight something that no gentle, easy love could ever have reached. The cold lover showed you your terror of being left. The chaotic one showed you the chaos you would not own in yourself. The unavailable one held up a perfect mirror to the part of you that has always secretly kept love at a careful and protected distance. They did not ruin your life, they revealed it, and the thing finally revealed can, at last, begin to be healed. This is the cruel mercy that sits at the very center of the psyche. We are most efficiently woken by the people who wound us in exactly the place we most need to grow. The nigredo, the dark night, the blackening. This is precisely what it is for. To love someone, to lose them, and then to descend afterward not into bitterness but into yourself. That is the rubedo. The alchemists spent their lives seeking the reddening, the gold born only out of the fire. The philosopher's stone they sought was never a rock at all. It was the self recovered through the very ordeal that seemed designed to destroy it. The treasure is hidden, always in the place you least want to dig. Now, remember the question I promised you at the very beginning, the one that left a woman silent for almost a full minute in Jung's study, the one so devastating that for a moment she could not breathe? Here it is. He did not ask her, why do you keep choosing the wrong men? That question is far too easy, and it changes nothing. He asked her something infinitely more devastating. He asked, whom, inside yourself, are you still trying to make love you through them? Sit with that. Whom inside yourself? Because the wrong partner is never really the true target of your longing. They are a stand-in, an understudy, a screen. Behind every impossible lover you have ever chased stands an older, dimmer figure, the parent who never quite reached you, the love that came with conditions, the warmth that withdrew just as you began to trust it. You have been trying, through one stranger after another, to finally win the love you did not receive at the original source. And no stranger on earth can ever grant it to you, because the debt is not theirs to pay. The woman wept, Jung wrote, not because the question accused her, but because for the first time in her life she understood that she had been searching for the right thing in all the wrong people. The love she was chasing in every man was a love she would have to learn, at long last, to give to the abandoned child, still waiting in her own depths. That is the secret the pattern was trying to deliver to you all along. You do not keep attracting the same wrong partner because love has failed you, or because all the good ones are taken, or because you have simply been unlucky. You keep attracting them because a part of you is still standing at an old closed door, knocking, waiting to be let in, and it will keep arranging these painful reunions, casting new actors in the same eternal role, until you finally turn around and open that door yourself. And the day you do, something quiet and profound shifts. The magnetism changes. You stop being drawn to the people who can flawlessly reenact your wound, and you begin, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes with grief for all the years you lost in the dark, to recognize the people who can simply, plainly meet you. So tonight, when you lie awake in the dark, do not ask yourself why they keep doing this to you. Ask instead, Who in me keeps choosing this? And what is that part of me truly, achingly hungry for? When you next feel that overwhelming certainty about someone, that breathless this is the one, hold the lamp up gently, the way Psyche should have, and ask yourself with great kindness whether you are seeing a living person or a beautiful projection. And when the old face appears again, as it surely will, in a new body, with a new name and a new city, do not run, do not curse your fate, turn toward it, because it has come as it has always come, not to wound you, but to wake you. The shadow you keep meeting in your lovers is only waiting to be welcomed home. The image you keep projecting onto strangers is asking patiently to be withdrawn and made conscious. And the love you have spent an entire lifetime searching for in all the wrong people has, this whole time, been searching just as hard for you from the inside out. The descent into that depth is the only journey that ever truly ends the pattern. If something in you stirred while you listened, if you felt the old door rattle on its hinges, then the next descent is already waiting, and there is far more in the dark still to be carried into the light. Stay close. We are only beginning to map the heart,